Each of you have had to make difficult decisions in your career on real estate. And when you're in the moment, and more so for Armin and Joe, I guess, Peter, when you're in the moment doing a transaction, sometimes you find yourself second guessing your decisions at that moment. So what are the key factors that you look at in the case of, say, Armin and Joe? It might be slightly different for Peter. When you're looking to buy real estate. So Armin, what's that mental checklist in your head when you're looking at if that real estate will work for you?
Yeah, most of the time I find myself saying, I can always find a reason to say no to this deal. I can always find a set of reasons to say yes. You're never 100% sure. But I don't have a lot of regrets in terms of how we built up our portfolio. So sure, location always matters, but the trend of that location, is the location gentrifying in the right direction, improving market rents? We always want to buy properties where the in-place rents are below market and trending north. The CapEx matters. Over the first 5 years, possibly 10 years, you've got to factor in your future CapEx into your internal rate of return. So all of these things matter. And you have to be able to check the box well when you make those acquisitions. And the flip side, when those things go against you, you can see them going against you, and then that's a good time to sell if you can see that well into the future.
Joe, you also dealt with a high volume. What are the things that go through your mind?
I'm going to say much the same as Armin, but for me it's really about liquidity, and what I mean by that is tenant liquidity and investment liquidity. So when we're looking at an asset, am I comfortable that I can easily lease it, whether it's empty now or I always assume it will be empty in the future. So you can have a building in a great location, but there's something about the building that isn't cookie cutter, and all of a sudden it's not leasable even though it's located at Main and Main. Or you can have a great building but in a tertiary market, so you don't have tenant liquidity. And the same holds true for the investment side of it. You may have a great building in a great location, all those typical things, but there's something about it that means the investment side doesn't work when you try to sell it, i.e. it needs capital, it has some other issues. So really what the key fundamentals for me is liquidity on the tenant side, and on the leasing side I should say, and on the investment side. But then at the end of the day, and again what Armin said, you can have financial models in the real estate industry say whatever you want. I can spin it so it says go and you'll be so happy, and I can spin it for the exact same building to say forget it, you'll never do it. It really comes down to what we call conviction investing. You really have to have the experience over years of doing it to say, the model is saying this is going to work, but something just tells me that I don't agree that that's going to happen exactly that way and I don't want to do it. Or conversely, the model says it's just not quite going to work, but I just feel my conviction's telling me that if I buy this building, something will go right over the next 10, and again, it depends what type of capital you have behind this investment, but in the fullness of time, something is going to go right because I've seen it before, and I know it will. So conviction investing may not sound good, considering the amount of money that you're putting in place and the fact you're representing other people, but it's a critical component of doing deals at the pace that we were doing them at.
Peter, I've got a special question for you.
Can I just add one thing? Because here's just an interesting perspective. Sitting in the middle, and I might be able to transact.
I did that on purpose, by the way.
So we've gone through numerous deals, and what ends up happening? It's the group that's got the best information on the buy side that typically wins, because you've got to have the conviction. Again, there's so much money, there's such aggressive buying, and the groups that have been rewarded are the ones who really could fall back and say, you know what, we can make money. So if you come at it from a tenant perspective and say, this will work not only this year, but next year, 10 years from now, there's a lot that goes into it. So the groups that really have the best operating teams, that know how to lease, the best capital teams know how to just make the buildings even better. What else can happen going into the future? Because when you look at a great real estate deal, we talked about the locations, et cetera, what's it going to be in 10 years? What's it going to be in 20 years? And some of the best deals that we've been a part of aren't what we sold. They've turned into these unbelievable new developments, and people have made a lot of money. So again, I think that the management teams who've got the smartest people, spend the most time on research, those are the ones who win and really do well.
I purposely put you in front of the two buyers
Okay,
as the broker.
I've got paper here if you want to sign up.
And Peter, I'm not just saying this, your firm is the most prolific capital markets team in Canada, and that's why we're happy to have you here today. But